Right now, millions of people around the world are trapped in a cycle they don't even realize they're in. A cycle where true connection, creativity, and purpose are replaced by fleeting moments of pleasure. Porn addiction is becoming a silent epidemic, shaping how we view ourselves and our relationships. But here's the truth. The power of your mind, your energy, and your potential is so much greater than the distractions we've allowed to take hold. What if you could break free from this cycle and redirect that energy towards something far more meaningful? What if instead of feeling controlled by desire, you could master it, transforming it into a source of personal growth and super-consciousness? Today, we're diving into how you can rewire your mind, desexualize your thoughts, and unlock your highest potential. It's time to take back control, align your energy, and elevate your life to a whole new level. Ready to rise above the noise? Let's get started. Chapter 1. Sex. The beginning of the journey. Let's start with a simple truth. Every one of us exists because of the energy of sex. It's the beginning of life, the foundation of our very existence. Yet have you ever stopped to wonder why something so natural, so fundamental, has been shrouded in secrecy, shame, and misunderstanding? From the time we're children, we're taught to avoid talking about it, to feel embarrassed by our curiosity, and to keep our questions locked away. And because of this, many of us grow up confused, detached, or even conflicted about one of the most powerful forces within us. But here's the reality. Sex is much more than a physical act or a source of fleeting pleasure. It's raw, creative energy. It's the spark that fuels life itself. Every human achievement, every act of creation, every dream that's ever been realized, all of it is connected at its core to this primal force. Yet most people never go beyond the surface. They experience it as a brief moment of passion or satisfaction without ever recognizing its deeper significance. It's like standing at the shore of an ocean but never daring to dive in. Now, let's dig deeper. Have you ever felt a moment of intense desire, passion, or connection where everything else seemed to disappear? In that moment, your mind wasn't racing, your worries weren't consuming you. You were fully present, completely alive. That's not just coincidence, it's a glimpse of what this energy can do when we connect with it fully. But here's the challenge. Most of us stop at that fleeting moment. We stay stuck in the physical experience without realizing it's just the doorway to something much greater. Think of sex as a seed. When left untended, it might sprout a small plant, but it will never grow into the towering tree it has the potential to become. That seed carries within it the possibility of immense growth, of transformation. But to unlock that potential, we need to nurture it, to guide it, to understand it. Similarly, the energy of sex is not just about reproduction or physical pleasure. It's about creation, connection, and evolution. This energy is raw and untamed, much like a wild river. Left uncontrolled, it can cause destruction. It can create chaos in our minds, in our relationships, in our lives. But when we bring awareness to it, when we learn to understand and channel it, it becomes a source of immense power and clarity. Imagine this energy as a fire. If left unattended, it can burn down everything around it. But when carefully harnessed, it can provide warmth, light, and even fuel to power entire civilizations. So the question is, how do you view this energy within yourself? Is it something that controls you? Or is it something you can channel into creating a life of purpose and fulfillment? Take a moment to reflect on how society approaches this topic. We've turned sex into either a source of guilt or a source of obsession. On one hand, many of us are taught to suppress it, to push it into the shadows as though it's something dirty or shameful. On the other hand, we're bombarded with messages that glorify it, that turn it into a commodity or a shallow pursuit. Neither approach helps us. Suppression leads to frustration and disconnection. Obsession leads to addiction and emptiness. Both paths leave us unfulfilled because they ignore the deeper truth. This energy isn't meant to be hidden or exploited. It's meant to be understood. Now let's reframe this entirely. What if we looked at sex not as an end, but as a beginning? Not as something to be controlled or feared, but as a doorway to growth, to awareness, to transformation. It's the first step on a journey that can lead us to greater creativity, deeper love, and even spiritual awakening. But this journey requires a shift in perspective. It requires us to move beyond the surface, to see this energy as a powerful tool for self-discovery. Think of some of the greatest artists, innovators, or visionaries throughout history. Many of them tapped into this raw, primal energy, not through indulgence, but through awareness. They channeled it into their art, their work, their vision for the world. They understood that this energy, when guided with intention, could be a source of immense creative power. And the same is true for all of us. Whether we're aware of it or not, this energy fuels everything we do, our passions, our dreams, our relationships. The question is, how are you using it? Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt stuck, like there's a part of you that's yearning for more, but you're not sure how to tap into it? That's the untapped potential of this energy. When you ignore it or suppress it, it doesn't go away. It stays within you, often creating frustration or unease. But when you bring awareness to it, when you learn to work with it rather than against it, you unlock a new level of vitality and clarity. This isn't about indulging in desires, nor is it about rejecting them. It's about understanding them. It's about seeing sex not as an obstacle or an end goal, but as the starting point of a transformative journey. It's the foundation upon which we can build a life of greater awareness and purpose. And this journey isn't just about intimate moments. It's about bringing that same level of presence and intensity into every aspect of your life. So what's the first step? Awareness. Awareness is the key to unlocking this energy's potential. It's about observing it, understanding it, and guiding it with intention. It's about recognizing that this energy, when channeled with mindfulness, can lead to profound growth. Not just in your personal life, but in your creative and spiritual journey as well. Take a moment to imagine this. What if you could harness this energy to fuel your dreams, to deepen your connections, to live with greater passion and purpose? What if, instead of being controlled by it, you could use it to rise above, to create, to evolve? That's the power of this journey. It starts with embracing this energy as a natural and vital part of who you are. It starts with letting go of shame, of guilt, of societal conditioning. And it starts with the simple decision to explore this part of yourself with openness and awareness. This is the beginning of the journey, from sex to superconsciousness. And as we move forward, we'll dive even deeper, exploring how this energy can be transformed, how it can lead to deeper connection, creative power, and spiritual awakening. But for now, let this idea settle within you. Sex is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the starting point of a journey that has the potential to transform every aspect of your life. Are you ready to take the first step? Chapter 2. Sex. The superconsciousness. Have you ever wondered why, in moments of intimacy, the noise in your mind fades away? That fleeting moment of stillness, where time feels like it's frozen, is one of the closest encounters most people have with true presence. It's in these moments we step into a deeper state of being, an opening to something much bigger than ourselves. But here's the thing. Most of us experience it as a passing moment, a glimmer that comes and goes. What if I told you this moment has the potential to become a profound gateway, not just to deeper intimacy, but to higher consciousness? Let's explore together how sex, when understood beyond just physical pleasure, can be a doorway to something truly transformative. The superconscious. Think about the last time you felt a deep connection with someone, not just physical attraction, but something more. Maybe it was a touch, a look, or a wordless moment where you felt truly seen. In that instant, the world quieted, and you were completely present. Now imagine if you could take that presence and expand it. Imagine living every moment of your life with that same sense of stillness and connection, not just with another person, but with yourself and the world around you. This is the potential we're talking about, the superconsciousness. What is the superconscious? So what does this mean? The superconscious is not some mystical concept. It's a heightened state of awareness where you transcend the limitations of your mind. It's when you're no longer trapped in thoughts of the past or worries about the future. Instead, you're fully alive in the present moment. Sex, for many, becomes the closest experience to this. Why? Because during moments of deep intimacy, the mind is silenced. All the overthinking, all the distractions fall away. You're no longer operating from your ego or identity. You're simply being. But here's the catch. Most people get stuck here. They see this moment as the destination rather than the starting point of a much larger journey. Let's pause for a moment. Have you ever noticed how fleeting those moments are? It's like trying to hold on to water in your hands. It slips away before you can truly understand its depth. And that's the challenge, isn't it? Most of us chase these moments of pleasure, thinking they'll bring lasting fulfillment. But what if I told you that the real power lies not in prolonging the experience, but in transforming it? From pleasure to presence. Here's where the shift happens. Most people view sex as a physical act, a release of tension, a source of momentary joy. But when approached with awareness, it becomes something far more profound. Think of it like this. In that moment of intimacy, when your mind quiets down, you're touching something sacred, a glimpse of your higher self. The challenge is to carry that state of presence beyond the act itself. Imagine taking the stillness, the connection, and the sense of being fully alive and integrating it into every part of your life. Suddenly, sex isn't just about the body, it's a tool for awakening. Let's think of sexual energy like fire. On its own, fire can be destructive, burning everything in its path. But when controlled and harnessed, it becomes a source of light, warmth, and even creation. The same goes for the energy within you. If you let it control you, it becomes chaotic, leading to frustration, addiction, or emptiness. But if you channel it with intention, it transforms into something extraordinary. The role of awareness. So how do you channel this energy? The answer lies in awareness. When you approach intimacy with mindfulness, you begin to see it as more than just a physical exchange. It becomes a meditation, a merging of two energies. Imagine this. Instead of seeking to get something from your partner, you approach intimacy as a way to give. Instead of trying to lose yourself in the act, you become more present. The experience shifts from one of need to one of shared connection and exploration. This is where the transformation begins. Let me share a story to illustrate this. There's a tale of a sculptor who spent years trying to carve the perfect statue. No matter how hard he worked, the stone never felt right. One day, frustrated, he sat in silence and simply stared at the block of marble. In that moment of stillness, he saw the figure hidden within the stone. He realized that his job wasn't to create something new. It was to reveal what was already there. The same goes for us. The potential for superconsciousness is already within you. It's not something you have to achieve. It's something you uncover. And intimacy, when approached with awareness, becomes the chisel that reveals the masterpiece. The shift from doing to being. Here's another important shift. Moving from doing to being. Most of us approach sex as something to do, a series of actions or techniques. But the truth is, the most profound experiences come when you let go of the need to perform and simply be. Think about it. The most beautiful connections happen when you're not trying to impress or achieve a goal. They happen when you're fully present, open, and vulnerable. So ask yourself, how can you bring more presence into your intimate moments? How can you shift from seeking to experiencing? And here's the exciting part. This isn't just about intimacy with another person. What if I told you that the same energy and awareness you bring to these moments could be used to transform every aspect of your life? We're just scratching the surface here. In the next chapter, we'll dive into how to take this raw energy and turn it into a force for creativity, passion, and even spiritual awakening. But for now, let's reflect on this. What would your life look like if you carried that same sense of presence and connection into everything you do? Here's where the perspective shifts. Osho calls sex the closest most people come to meditation. Think about it. In moments of deep intimacy, your mind becomes still. You're fully present, free from worries about the past or future. That stillness, that presence, is the seed of superconsciousness. But here's the catch. Most people stop at the fleeting moment. Osho invites us to carry that sense of presence into every aspect of life. Imagine taking that depth of connection and awareness and applying it to your relationships, your passions, even your daily tasks. It's not about prolonging pleasure, it's about expanding awareness. Osho teaches that when approached consciously, sex can be a meditation in itself. It's not the act, but the awareness within it that holds the key. To wrap this up, sex is more than just a physical act. It's a doorway, a chance to step into the superconscious state where you're fully alive, present, and connected. The challenge is to not let it remain a fleeting moment. Instead, use it as a reminder of what's possible. Expand that presence beyond intimacy and into your entire life. Chapter 3. The Transformation of Energy. What if I told you that the energy driving your deepest desires, the same energy behind your passions, creativity, and even frustrations, has the potential to completely transform your life? Right now, you might be using this energy unconsciously, letting it slip through your fingers like sand. But imagine if you could harness it, channel it, and turn it into a force so powerful that it could awaken parts of you that you've never known existed. That's what we're diving into today. How to transform your energy and, in the process, transform yourself. Let's think about energy for a moment. Every day you wake up and spend your energy in different ways, working, thinking, worrying, loving. But here's the thing. Most of us never stop to ask where this energy comes from or how we're using it. It's like driving a car without ever checking the fuel gauge or even knowing what type of fuel the car needs. Sometimes you feel drained and don't even know why. Other times you're overflowing with passion, but it burns out before you can fully act on it. Sound familiar? Now imagine what could happen if you took control of that energy. If you stopped leaking it on things that don't matter and started directing it toward creating the life you truly want. The power of sexual energy. Here's something most people overlook. Your sexual energy is one of the most potent forms of energy you possess. It's not just about intimacy or desire, it's a creative force. Think about it. This is the energy that has the power to create life itself. But that's just the beginning. When used consciously, this energy can be redirected and transformed into creativity, spiritual growth, and even higher states of awareness. This isn't about suppressing or denying your desires. It's about elevating them. It's about taking that raw, primal energy and turning it into something extraordinary. Let me give you an analogy. Think of your energy like water. When it's left unchecked, it can flood and cause chaos. But when you channel it, it can generate electricity, nourish crops, or carve rivers into landscapes. The same principle applies to the energy within you. If you let it flow wildly, it might bring temporary pleasure but eventually leave you feeling scattered or empty. But when you learn to guide it, it becomes a source of endless vitality and inspiration. How transformation begins. So how does this transformation actually happen? It starts with awareness. Most of us experience sexual energy in a reactive way, triggered by external factors, consumed by fleeting desires. But to transform it, you need to shift from reacting to creating. Here's the first step. Stop seeing energy as something outside of you. It's not just about what happens in moments of intimacy or connection with another person. This energy lives within you, and it's constantly flowing. The key is to bring mindfulness to this energy. Instead of letting it control you, you begin to observe it. You notice how it rises, how it affects your emotions, and how it shapes your thoughts. Let me share a story with you. There's a legend about a master who once gave his student a bowl of water and told him to carry it across a rocky path without spilling a single drop. At first, the student stumbled, spilling water everywhere. But as he walked more carefully, with complete focus, he realized he could navigate the path without losing a drop. That's what it's like to work with your energy. At first, it might feel overwhelming or uncontrollable. But as you become more mindful, you'll find that you can carry this energy with ease, using it to create rather than spill it on distractions. Now pause for a moment and ask yourself, where is your energy going right now? Are you pouring it into things that truly matter? Or is it being scattered on fleeting desires, worries, or distractions? It's a powerful question, isn't it? And it's one we rarely stop to consider. But awareness is the first step toward transformation. Let's talk about some practical steps you can take to start this transformation. Mindful observation. Start by simply observing your energy. Notice when you feel it rising, whether it's through desire, anger, or excitement. Instead of acting on it immediately, take a moment to pause. Breathe. Feel the energy moving through your body. Breath work. Breath is one of the most powerful tools for transforming energy. Deep, conscious breathing helps you redirect energy from lower centers of the body to higher ones, turning raw physical sensations into mental clarity and emotional balance. Try this. When you feel a surge of energy, close your eyes and take a slow, deep breath. Visualize the energy rising up your spine, filling your chest and reaching your mind. Creative expression. Channel your energy into something creative. Write, paint, dance, or build something. Creativity is one of the most natural ways to transmute energy. Meditation. Meditation is the ultimate tool for transformation. When you sit in stillness, you allow the chaos of your mind to settle. This creates space for your energy to rise naturally, without being drained by thoughts or distractions. The journey from instinct to intuition. Here's something fascinating. As you transform your energy, you begin to shift from living instinctively to living intuitively. Instinct is reactive, it's driven by survival and desire, but intuition is expansive. It connects you to a deeper intelligence, a higher awareness. Imagine moving through life not driven by fleeting impulses, but guided by an inner knowing. Imagine having access to creativity, clarity, and peace whenever you need it. That's the power of energy transformation. So here's your takeaway for today. Your energy is one of the most powerful tools you have. It's not something to suppress or fear. It's something to embrace, understand, and transform. Osho's message is clear. Sexual energy is not something to fear or repress. Instead, it's a force to understand and transform. By doing so, we can fuel our dreams, passions, and even self-discovery. And here's the most exciting part. This transformation isn't just about you. When you learn to channel your energy, it doesn't just change your inner world, it changes how you show up in the world. Your relationships deepen, your work becomes more meaningful, and your connection to life itself grows stronger. But how does this process lead to spiritual awakening? How can the transformation of energy take you beyond the body and mind? That's what we'll explore in the next chapter. Sex, the spiritual dimension. Chapter 4. Sex, the spiritual dimension. Have you ever wondered if there's more to sex than just physical pleasure? Could it hold the key to unlocking a deeper connection, not just with others, but with the universe itself? What if this energy wasn't just about the body, but about something far greater, something spiritual? Today, we're diving into the spiritual dimension of sex, a topic that challenges us to think beyond the ordinary and embrace a higher understanding of what intimacy and connection truly mean. For many of us, sex is seen as a purely physical act, something that satisfies the body and occasionally touches the emotions. Society, culture, and even biology have trained us to see it as an instinct, a need to fulfill, a desire to satisfy. But here's the thing. If we stop there, we miss out on its true potential. What if I told you that sex isn't the destination but the doorway? A doorway to something profound, something sacred. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a vast ocean. The waves crashing against the shore are beautiful, powerful, and mesmerizing. But what lies beyond those waves beneath the surface? An entire world of mysteries, currents, and life waiting to be explored. Sex is like those waves. It's powerful, captivating, and dynamic. But if we only focus on the surface, we miss the depth. Beneath the physical act lies a spiritual ocean, an opportunity to connect with something far greater than ourselves. So, what exactly is the spiritual dimension of sex? It's the idea that the energy behind physical intimacy can be a path to transcendence, a way to move beyond the ego, beyond the mind, and into a state of pure awareness. Think of it like this. At its core, sex is an act of union. But what if that union isn't just between two people? What if it's also about uniting with the divine, with the infinite, with the very essence of life itself? Why don't most people experience it? Now here's the challenge. Most of us are too caught up in the physical aspect to access the spiritual dimension. We're distracted by desires, expectations, and insecurities. Our minds are racing, our egos are competing, and instead of connecting, we're simply consuming. It's like trying to listen to a beautiful piece of music in a noisy room. The noise drowns out the melody, and we lose the magic. To access the spiritual dimension, we need to quiet the noise. We need to shift our focus from taking to giving, from doing to being, from the physical to the profound. Let me tell you a story. There was once a wise teacher who was asked about the purpose of intimacy. The teacher replied, "Intimacy is like a flame. It can light up a dark room, but if you use it recklessly, it can also burn you. The question is, do you want to burn in its fire, or do you want to use its light to see the truth?" This story illustrates something important. Sex can be either a source of suffering or a path to awakening. It all depends on how you approach it. The deeper truth, moving beyond the physical. Here's the deeper truth. When intimacy is approached with mindfulness, presence, and love, it becomes more than an act. It becomes an experience of transcendence. In that moment, you're no longer just a body or a mind. Your energy, your awareness, your life itself. Time seems to stop. The boundaries between you and the other person dissolve, and you get a glimpse of what it means to be infinite. This is why ancient traditions often described sex as a spiritual practice, a way to experience oneness, to dissolve the ego, and to reconnect with the divine. So, how can you begin to explore this spiritual dimension? Here are a few practices to get started. Presence over performance. The first step is to let go of the idea of performance. Forget about expectations or outcomes. Instead, bring your full presence to the moment. Feel every sensation, every emotion, and every connection. Breath awareness. Breathing is a bridge between the physical and the spiritual. By focusing on your breath during intimacy, you can deepen your awareness and allow energy to flow more freely. Breathe slowly, deeply, and in sync with your partner, if you're with someone. Connection, not control. True intimacy isn't about control, it's about connection. Instead of trying to control the experience, surrender to it. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, open, and connected, not just with the other person, but with the energy flowing through you. Meditative intimacy. Approach intimacy as a form of meditation. Instead of being lost in the mind, be fully present in the body and heart. Notice the sensations, the emotions, and the energy, but don't get attached to them. Simply observe and flow with the experience. Now, take a moment to reflect. How do you approach intimacy in your life? Are you simply scratching the surface? Or are you diving deeper? Are you using it to escape, or are you using it to connect to yourself, to others, and to the universe? These are powerful questions, and they can change the way you experience not just intimacy, but life itself. The ultimate revelation: sex as a spiritual practice. When approached with awareness, sex becomes more than an act. It becomes a practice of mindfulness, of connection, and of transcendence. It's no longer just about the body. It becomes a way to nourish the soul. This is the spiritual dimension of sex. It's not something you find in the physical act alone. It's something you discover within yourself. It's the realization that every connection, every moment of intimacy, is an opportunity to touch the divine. So, as we wrap up this chapter, I want to leave you with this thought. Intimacy isn't just about pleasure. It's about presence. It's not just about connection with another. It's about connecting with yourself and the universe. Sex isn't just about pleasure. It's about connection. And when approached with mindfulness, it becomes a sacred act. Imagine intimacy where the focus shifts from taking to giving, from need to sharing. This isn't about romantic ideals. It's about dissolving the ego and experiencing oneness. Osho describes the spiritual dimension of sex as the moment when two souls meet, not just two bodies. When this happens, sex transforms into something divine. It becomes a glimpse of eternity, a moment where the boundaries of you and me dissolve into us. But here's the question. If sex can be a spiritual practice, how does it lead us to the ultimate state of consciousness? How can we use this energy to move from the physical to the infinite? That's exactly what we'll uncover in the next chapter. From sex to samadhi. we'll explore how this journey takes us to the highest peaks of awareness and what it means to merge with the universal consciousness. Chapter 5. From Sex to Samadhi. Have you ever wondered what it means to truly transcend the ordinary and step into the extraordinary? What if the energy we experience as desire, often misunderstood, often feared, could be the very key to unlocking the highest states of consciousness? This chapter is about transformation. It's about how we can take something as natural and primal as sex and use it as a path to samadhi, a state of ultimate awareness and union with the universe. Sounds almost impossible, doesn't it? But as we'll explore, it's not only possible, it's deeply human and profoundly spiritual. For most of us, sex and spirituality seem like opposites. One is tied to the body, while the other seems to transcend it. One is seen as worldly, the other as divine. But what if this is a false division? What if the very energy we associate with physical intimacy is the same energy that powers the universe, waiting to be awakened and directed toward higher planes of existence? Here's a thought. The journey from sex to samadhi isn't about rejecting or suppressing desire. It's about understanding it, transforming it, and allowing it to propel you toward your highest self. What is samadhi? Let's pause for a moment to talk about samadhi. What is it really? In simple terms, samadhi is a state of complete absorption, a merging of the self with the infinite. It's the moment when your sense of I dissolves, and all that remains is pure awareness, pure bliss, pure existence. It's often described as the peak of meditation, the ultimate destination on the spiritual path. But here's the surprising part. The journey to samadhi doesn't always begin with renunciation or withdrawal from life. Sometimes it begins with life's most basic natural energy, sexual energy. Why sex is the starting point? Why sex, you might ask? Because sex is one of the most powerful forces we experience as human beings. It's the raw energy of creation, the same energy that gives birth to life. It's intense, undeniable, and deeply rooted in our being. But here's the catch. Most people remain stuck at this level. They experience sex only as a physical act, a fleeting moment of pleasure. They never realize its potential to be a gateway to something far greater. Think of sexual energy like the fuel in a rocket. At first, it's volatile, raw, and unrefined. If left uncontrolled, it can explode without direction. But when harnessed and guided, it has the power to lift the rocket beyond the Earth's atmosphere into the infinite expanse of space. In the same way, sexual energy, when refined and transformed, can propel us beyond the physical, beyond the mind, and into the boundless realm of samadhi. How to go from sex to samadhi? So, how does this transformation happen? How do we take something as primal as sexual energy and elevate it to something as sublime as samadhi? Let's explore the steps. Awareness is the key. The first step is awareness. Most people approach sex unconsciously, driven by habit or desire. But to transform this energy, you need to bring full awareness to it. Notice the sensations, the emotions, and the energy flowing through you. This isn't about judgment. It's about understanding. Channeling the energy. Sexual energy is raw creative energy, and like any energy, it can be directed. Through practices like breathwork, meditation, and visualization, you can learn to channel this energy upward from the lower centers of the body to the higher ones. This is often described in ancient traditions as awakening the kundalini, the dormant spiritual energy within you. Moving beyond the ego. One of the greatest barriers to transcendence is the ego, the part of us that clings to identity, desires, and fears. In intimacy, the ego often manifests as possessiveness, expectations, or insecurities. To move from sex to samadhi, you must let go of these attachments and surrender to the flow of energy. Union, not division. At its highest level, intimacy becomes an act of union, not just with another person, but with existence itself. It's no longer about me and you, but about dissolving into the oneness of life. In that moment, the boundaries of the self fade, and you experience a glimpse of samadhi. Let me share a story. Imagine a caterpillar crawling on the ground, confined to the earth, seeing only what's in front of it. But one day it builds a cocoon and undergoes a profound transformation. It emerges as a butterfly, soaring into the sky, seeing the world from a completely new perspective. Sexual energy is like the caterpillar. If we remain stuck in its raw form, we stay confined to the ground. But when we nurture it, refine it, and allow it to transform, it becomes the butterfly, lifting us to the heights of consciousness. The deeper realization: sex as a sacred energy. Here's the profound truth. Sex isn't just about the body. It's about life itself. It's the pulse of creation, the rhythm of existence, the dance of the universe. And when approached with awareness, it becomes a sacred energy, a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, the finite and the infinite. From sex to samadhi isn't about rejecting the body or suppressing desire. It's about embracing them fully, with mindfulness and love, and allowing them to lead you to the ultimate truth, that you are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, expressed in human form. If you're ready to explore this transformation, here are some practices to begin with. Meditative breathing. Practice deep, conscious breathing during moments of intimacy. Let your breath guide the flow of energy and keep you present in the moment. Sacred awareness. Approach intimacy as a sacred act, not just a physical one. Focus on connection, presence, and the flow of energy, rather than the outcome. Energy visualization. During meditation, visualize your energy moving upward, from the base of your spine to the crown of your head. Imagine this energy expanding into light, connecting you with the infinite. Gratitude and surrender. Cultivate gratitude for the energy within you and surrender to its flow. Let go of control and trust that this energy will guide you to higher states of awareness. Now take a moment to reflect. How do you experience intimacy in your life? Is it just a fleeting moment, or could it be the start of a profound journey? What would it mean to see sex not as an end, but as a beginning, a path to the infinite? As we close this chapter, I want to invite you to think differently about energy, intimacy, and transcendence. The path from sex to samadhi isn't a rejection of life. It's an embrace of its highest potential. But here's the truth. This path isn't linear. It requires deep self-awareness. Imagine using the energy of your desires to rise above them. This isn't about denial or abstinence. It's about transformation. Think of a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. The caterpillar doesn't reject its nature. It transcends it. In the same way, Osho says, we can transform sexual energy into spiritual awakening. It's a journey of rising above, not running away. We've explored how sexual energy can lead us to samadhi, but what happens after we reach this peak of awareness? How does this transformation change the way we live, love, and connect with the world? In the next chapter, we'll delve into a natural outcome of this journey: celibacy as the natural outcome of fulfilled love. It's not about suppression, it's about fulfillment, joy, and freedom. Stay tuned, because this is where the journey gets truly transformative. Chapter 6. Celibacy, the natural outcome of fulfilled love. Have you ever wondered what happens when love is truly fulfilled? When the yearning, the seeking, and the longing dissolve into a state of deep contentment, what remains? This chapter takes us on a journey to explore the profound truth that celibacy isn't about suppression or denial. It's a natural flowering, the effortless outcome of love that has reached its peak. But let me clarify something right away. We're not talking about celibacy as a rigid rule or a forced lifestyle. This is not about shutting the door on intimacy. Instead, it's about what naturally unfolds when you've experienced love so deeply and completely that it transcends the physical and blossoms into something spiritual. Love as fulfillment, not neediness. Think about the way most of us experience love. Often it begins as a need, a hunger to fill the emptiness within. We look to others to complete us, to validate us, to make us feel whole. But this type of love, rooted in lack, can only take us so far. It's fragile, fleeting, and often leaves us wanting more. Now imagine a different kind of love. A love so complete, so fulfilling, that it leaves no room for emptiness. This is the love that doesn't demand, doesn't cling, and doesn't seek to possess. It's a love that gives without expecting anything in return. And when love reaches this level of fulfillment, something extraordinary happens. The desire for physical expression naturally fades. Celibacy in this sense isn't a rejection of love or intimacy. It's the highest expression of love, one that transcends the physical and touches the infinite. A surprising perspective: celibacy as freedom. For many of us, the idea of celibacy feels restrictive, like a denial of something fundamental to our human nature. But what if we've been looking at it the wrong way? What if celibacy isn't about saying no to life, but about saying yes to freedom? When love is incomplete, it binds us. It creates attachments, expectations, and dependencies. But when love is complete, it liberates us. It frees us from the need to seek fulfillment outside ourselves. And in this freedom, celibacy arises, not as a rule, but as a revelation. It's like a river that has merged with the ocean. Once it reaches the vastness of the sea, it no longer flows in search of its destination. It's fulfilled, at peace, and one with the whole. The nature of fulfilled love. So, what does it mean for love to be fulfilled? It means that love is no longer tied to conditions. It's not about receiving, it's about being. In fulfilled love, you don't love someone because of who they are or what they give you. You love simply because you are full of love. This kind of love doesn't ask for anything, doesn't demand anything. It's like the light of the sun. It shines unconditionally, giving warmth and life to all, asking for nothing in return. When you live in this state of fulfilled love, you're no longer driven by desire. You don't feel the need to seek completion through another person because you've already found it within yourself. And in this state, celibacy becomes a natural way of being. Breaking the myth. Celibacy as suppression versus natural celibacy. Let's address a common misconception. Many people think of celibacy as a form of suppression, a way of fighting against natural desires. And yes, suppression can be harmful. It creates conflict, tension, and even suffering. But natural celibacy is something entirely different. It's not forced and it's not a struggle. It's a state of ease, a quiet realization that physical desires no longer hold power over you. Imagine this: when you're truly satisfied, you don't crave more, do you? After a delicious meal, you don't sit there yearning for more food. You're content. That's the feeling of fulfilled love. And in this state of contentment, celibacy happens effortlessly. Let me share a metaphor. Imagine a cup that's empty. It's constantly seeking to be filled. This is how most of us experience love, as a search for something to fill the void within. Now imagine a cup that's overflowing. It doesn't need anything. It's already full to the brim. In fact, it gives freely, sharing its abundance with others. This is the nature of fulfilled love. And when your love overflows in this way, the idea of taking from another, whether emotionally or physically, simply doesn't arise. You no longer seek intimacy to complete you, because you're already whole. You've moved beyond need, beyond desire, into a state of pure being. So how can we move toward this state of fulfilled love? Here are some steps to begin the journey. Cultivate inner wholeness. Spend time getting to know yourself, beyond your roles, relationships, and desires. Through meditation, reflection, and self-awareness, discover the completeness that already exists within you. Transform desire into love. Instead of focusing on what you can get from others, focus on what you can give. Let your love become a gift, not a demand. Let go of attachments. Practice releasing the need to possess or control. True love is free, and it thrives when it's unburdened by expectations. Embrace stillness. In moments of stillness, you can connect with the infinite source of love within you. This is where true fulfillment lies, not in external experiences, but in the depth of your own being. Love beyond the body. Here's the ultimate realization. Love isn't confined to the body. It's not limited by physicality or boundaries. In its highest form, love is a state of consciousness. When you experience love in this way, you see the entire universe as an expression of that love. Every tree, every star, every person becomes a reflection of the divine. And in this state, celibacy is no longer a practice, it's a natural outcome. Take a moment to reflect. How do you experience love in your life? Is it tied to conditions, or is it free? Does it create dependence, or does it liberate you? What would it feel like to love so fully that you no longer need anything in return? As we wrap up this chapter, I invite you to consider the possibility of living a life rooted in fulfilled love. A life where nothing is missing, and everything flows from a place of abundance. Here's an unexpected truth. According to Osho, celibacy isn't something forced. It's the natural outcome of a fulfilled life. When love is experienced in its purest form, the compulsive need for physical expression fades. But let's be clear, this isn't about suppressing desires. Suppression leads to frustration. Instead, Osho teaches that fulfillment leads to freedom, not just from physical cravings, but from the limitations of the mind. Fulfilled love leads us to celibacy, but what happens when we fully embrace this state? What lies beyond the silence, the stillness, the freedom? In the next chapter, we'll explore the pinnacle of meditation. This is the ultimate destination, the peak of awareness, where all paths converge. Stay tuned, because this is where the journey reaches its climax. Chapter 7, The Pinnacle of Meditation. Have you ever felt a moment of stillness so profound that time seems to disappear, and all that's left is a sense of infinite peace? This chapter is about reaching that sacred summit, a place where meditation takes us beyond the ordinary, beyond the mind, and into the boundless realm of existence itself. But what exactly is this pinnacle of meditation? It's not a destination you can measure or a goal you can achieve. It's an experience of being, a realization of the infinite within you. Let's explore together how meditation, when practiced with depth and sincerity, becomes the bridge to your highest self. Why the pinnacle matters. Let's take a moment to reflect. Most of us live in a constant state of noise, our minds racing with thoughts, our days filled with distractions. Even when we sit in silence, the chatter doesn't stop. It's like a radio station you can't turn off. And this isn't just exhausting. It keeps us disconnected from who we truly are. Deep down, we all yearn for something more. A state of peace, a sense of clarity, a connection to something greater than ourselves. That's what meditation offers. But it's not just about feeling relaxed or clearing your mind. It's about transcending the mind altogether. It's about climbing to the pinnacle of your consciousness, where you discover the vast, limitless space of your true self. Let's imagine for a moment that your journey through meditation is like climbing a mountain. At the base, you're surrounded by noise, chaotic thoughts, unresolved emotions, and the distractions of daily life. This is where most people live, caught in the hustle and bustle of the mind. But as you start to climb, something begins to shift. The noise starts to fade, the air becomes clearer, and you catch glimpses of the peak in the distance. These are the moments of insight, the flashes of stillness that meditation brings. And when you finally reach the summit, everything changes. From the top of the mountain, you can see the whole world spread out before you. The struggles, the fears, and the desires that once consumed you seem so small from this perspective. At the pinnacle, there's nothing left to strive for. There's only silence, presence, and the vastness of being. The state of meditation's pinnacle. So what is this pinnacle? It's the point where you're no longer meditating on something. You are meditation itself. It's no longer about techniques, mantras, or practices. These were the tools that helped you climb, but at the peak, you don't need them anymore. At this level, the mind becomes silent, like a lake with no ripples. There's no longer a division between you and the universe, between the observer and the observed. You've dissolved into existence itself. Imagine this. You're sitting in stillness, and suddenly, the boundaries between you and the world disappear. You're not your body, you're not your thoughts, you're pure awareness. It's a state where you're fully present, fully alive, and yet completely at peace. This is the pinnacle of meditation. It's not something you can describe in words, it's something you can only experience. Meditation to everyday life. But let's be honest, reaching this pinnacle can feel like a distant dream. Life pulls us in so many directions. We have responsibilities, relationships, and routines. How can we climb this mountain when we're so rooted in the chaos of daily life? The truth is, the pinnacle of meditation isn't about escaping life. It's about fully embracing it. Meditation isn't something you do for an hour a day. It's a way of living. It's about bringing that same stillness and awareness into everything you do. When you're truly present, whether you're working, eating, or simply sitting in silence, you're already touching the essence of meditation. And with practice, these moments of presence begin to expand. They become the foundation of your life, leading you naturally to higher states of consciousness. Now, let's talk about how you can begin this climb. The journey to the pinnacle of meditation starts with simple, consistent steps. Find your still point. Set aside time each day to sit in silence. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just close your eyes, breathe deeply, and observe. Don't fight your thoughts. Simply watch them as they come and go. Let go of expectations. Meditation isn't about achieving something. The more you try to control it, the further you move from its essence. Surrender to the process and let it unfold naturally. Be present in every moment. Meditation isn't confined to your cushion or mat. Practice being fully present in whatever you're doing. Whether you're walking, eating, or even washing dishes, treat it as an act of meditation. Dive deeper with awareness. As you progress, start observing the subtler aspects of your experience. Notice the stillness beneath your thoughts, the space between your breaths. These are the doorways to deeper states of consciousness. Embrace the journey. Remember, the pinnacle of meditation isn't a destination, it's a journey. Every step, every moment of stillness brings you closer to your true self. What lies at the peak? And here's the most beautiful part. When you reach the pinnacle, you realize there was nothing to achieve. The peace, the fulfillment, the freedom you were seeking. It was within you all along. The climb didn't take you somewhere new. It simply helped you uncover what was always there. This is the greatest gift of meditation. It shows you that you're not separate from the universe. You are the universe. You're not a drop in the ocean. You're the entire ocean in a single drop. But here's the paradox. Even at the pinnacle, the journey isn't over. The mountain has no end. Each moment offers a new depth, a new insight, a new way to experience the infinite. Meditation is not a final goal. It's a continuous unfolding of life's greatest mysteries. This is the beauty of meditation. It's both the path and the destination, the means and the end. And as you continue your journey, know that the pinnacle is always within reach, waiting for you in the silence of your own being. Think about the most present moment in your life. What if you could live every moment with that same intensity and presence? Meditation is the practice that makes this possible. It's not about denying life, it's about embracing it fully, with consciousness. Osho describes meditation as the ultimate experience of self-awareness and oneness. It's the point where everything, desires, fears, emotions, melts away, leaving only pure being. You've just taken a powerful step toward breaking free from the distractions and limitations that once held you back. By understanding how to transform your energy, rewire your mind, and break the cycle of addiction, you're reclaiming your true power. The journey through these 7 chapters has shown you that sexual energy isn't something to be feared or repressed. It's a force that, when harnessed correctly, can propel you to new heights of personal growth and superconsciousness. Desexualizing the mind doesn't mean denying your desires. It means elevating your energy to a place where you can channel it into creativity, purpose, and self-mastery. The power to transform is always within you. You just have to align your mind and body with your highest potential. So, what will you do next? Will you continue this journey of self-discovery? Or will you let these lessons fade? If you're ready to keep rising, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Remember, the best version of yourself is just a decision away. Stay tuned, because your journey to superconsciousness is just beginning.